Severe avoidants are emotionally unavailable, and that can apply to both dismissive and fearful avoidance. But what is emotional availability, and what makes the avoidant emotionally unavailable? First, emotional availability has two main core components. The first component is the ability and the willingness to form deep emotional connections, a deep emotional bond, a deep love. The second component is the ability and the willingness to empathize with their partner, to care about your partner's wants, needs, feelings, to consider their experience, their emotions, to share their emotions along with them. That's what makes an emotionally available partner. And an emotionally available partner doesn't just approach a relationship with a what's in it for me attitude. They also approach a relationship with, how can I show up for my partner? What does my partner feel? How do my actions affect them? Well, avoidants, they lack the ability to form the deep emotional bond, and they often fail to empathize with their partner. Now, this all stems from consistent childhood emotional neglect. Avoidants grew up in households where their emotional needs were not met, households where you don't talk about feelings, households where their feelings were rejected as children. They were never really exposed to much oxytocin as a child. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone, and that's because of that emotional neglect. So now, as an adult, unless they're working on themselves and growing that capacity, they do lack the ability and the capacity to oxytocin bond with their partner, to actually form that deep emotional bond. It's just not there. They have anxieties and insecurities that prevent them from also bonding as well, that prevent them from taking their walls down and truly letting their partner in. So they do have the ability to feel that dopamine rush from the validation, especially in the honeymoon phase. But when that dopamine, the feel-good hormone, the reward chemical wears off, as the honeymoon phase ends, the insecurities that are stemming from the childhood emotional neglect come to the surface, and that oxytocin really isn't there to help carry them along. Also, because of their attachment wounds, an avoidant that is not working on themselves, especially a dismissive avoidant, lacks the ability to consider the needs and feelings of the other person. They learned as a child that the only person that would look out for them is them. So they were trained to be self-focused. What do I want? What do I need? What do I feel? The thought process of, how does my partner feel, does not go through their head. And when their partner does show strong emotions, especially hurt, pain, but sometimes even love, it causes the avoidant to feel quite uncomfortable because they really don't have the ability to share those emotions and to empathize. They inherently approach a relationship with a what's in it for me attitude. How does this person make me feel? What do I get out of it? Me, me, me. And it's not that they intentionally try to hurt their partner, it's just that they don't consider their partner. They're not able to consider their partner or willing to until they're working on themselves. And that's why you often see very self-absorbed behavior from an avoidant that's not working on themselves, because they inherently consider themselves first. And that's due to their own programming that's been repeated all the way from childhood. So that's why they'll often run away in times of crisis. When you need them most, when you're having a health emergency, a death of a family member, they're shutting down and pulling away. It's because they're thinking of themselves, soothing their own stress, their own anxiety that they're getting from pressures of being in the relationship. They're not considering the pain or the grief that you're going through because they're inherently focused on themselves. And that is why they're emotionally unavailable. And that emotional unavailability can really translate into a lot of hurtful, unhealthy behaviors, such as stonewalling, ghosting, cheating, things like that. Because in those actions, there is no empathy for the person that they're doing it to. They're only thinking of themselves and what they perceive they want, need, feel, or fear in the moment. Can they heal this, expand their capacity, and become emotionally available? Of course, they can. But it's up to them. They have to want it. No matter how badly you want this person to change, if they don't want it, they're not going to change.